what if I told you that it's entirely possible to generate over $1 million per year in additional revenue just from Google search ads alone? And no, I'm not talking about retargeting or brand search campaigns. Now, I love Google search ads because I've been able to scale brands like these to over $250,000 in revenue per month, a lot of it coming from Google search campaigns alone, or even brands like these in the supplement niche where it's very difficult to make them profitable. However, a lot of these Google search campaigns help us generate multi-4 and multi-5 figures in total revenue. And there's really only 3 separate things which Google's algorithm wants from your e-commerce brand when it comes to search campaigns. Number 1, relevancy. Number 2, direction. And number 3, simplicity. I'm gonna break down each one of these individually. So when it comes to relevancy, it actually wants you to keep things that you add within the search campaign as relevant as possible to number 1, your audience, and number 2, what you're actually selling. Meaning, if you're selling, for example, oranges, Google's algorithm does not want any sort of reference to apples in the ad copies or on the landing pages, unless of course you're comparing oranges to apples. If your ad is not relevant, Google's algorithm has a very difficult time understanding who to show your ad to. But then this brings us to direction, and this is where the SEO keywords are very valuable. Keep in mind, Google Ads is not Meta ads or TikTok ads. You cannot do interest targeting with Google. So as a result, your entire strategy should be based around giving Google's algorithm clear direction of where you want your products to go to. And this means doing proper search engine optimization, incorporating the right keywords which your audience relates most to. And then this finally brings us to simplicity. If you kind of make your Google search campaign strategy way too complicated, all that's going to do is it's going to slow down the algorithm's kind of path to success and to actually get to that scale. And there are 5 things you must do in order to give all of these things I just mentioned to the Google Ads algorithm so your search campaigns can actually become profitable and can actually scale long term. Number 1, your brand needs to have done proper keyword research to understand which keywords are highly competitive and then which keywords are actually getting searched for. The worst thing you can do for your search campaigns is add a bunch of random keywords in which barely anybody is searching per month, because no matter how good your offer is, no matter how good your product is, if there's no search volume for your keywords, it's not gonna sell, period. And from here, you need to actually know how your ideal audience speaks, because just having the right keywords is not enough if your ad copy is not done with proper copywriting. So there are 3 main things when it comes to the actual copy which we like to strategize our ad copies around. Number 1, what problems does our product actually solve? Number 2, any types of slang words in that specific niche you're selling within. And number 3, how our products make the users feel. If your copywriting strategy and your copywriting approach is based off of these 3 things in mind, then it's going to be a very good copy. But when you combine with this with that perfect, that simple ad strategy, that's when things can really be taken to the next level. But exactly how do you give all of this to Google, and how do you exactly give Google what it wants? Now, you need to take things a bit further and conduct landing page optimization, because if somebody goes from your search campaign onto your landing page and they don't really like the landing page or they don't do much on it, this is a direct signal to Google's algorithm that your website is not relevant, and this affects something called the quality score with your search campaign. Simply put, quality score determines what kind of audience you get, whether it's high quality or low quality. You also want to be doing product feed optimization, because even though Google search campaigns are not directly associated with your products, it can still help tremendously if your product feed is optimized, if your product titles have proper SEO techniques, the images are on point when it comes to Google shopping ads, and all of those things. This brings us to the final step of this strategy and this process, which is actually going about the Google search campaigns and their strategies. Now, there's 2 different ways to actually launch and strategize around Google search campaigns. It could be done based around an individual search campaign which goes after a specific collection or a specific product, or my favorite, the other one, it's the dynamic search campaigns. I personally love dynamic search campaigns because they really give us the freedom to not just be kind of narrowed on one specific product or one specific collection, which also means that even if we don't know what our best-selling product is, well, that's fine, because now Google's algorithm is going to help us kind of go towards our perfect audience and let us find that perfect audience. But let's start off with the first approach, which is the most common one, which is just going after a collection or a specific individual search campaign. Now, for this one, it doesn't really matter how you actually generally launch it as much as how you approach the actual search campaign. campaigns, and we're going to go over both of these tactics, both the dynamic search as well as regular search. But here within this ad account, we can see a generic search campaign going on. These two chosen right here are two of the main general search campaigns going after an individual product, and this is in the baby niche. It targets only a few SKUs. It doesn't have a lot of products on the store. But if we look right here, one of these search campaigns is running at a 6.09x ROAS and the other one is running at a 4.57x ROAS. The general approach which we have taken here is number one, to segregate it based on males versus females. This is one of the key strategies you want to implement no matter what niche you're in, no matter what products you sell. Now for this specific campaign right here, it's going after the females, and what we have done here, this is the second part of the approach and the strategy, is we have only incorporated 1 to 3 different ad groups here, and even within each of these ad groups we're adding only a few specific keywords which are actually active in there. In this case, we only have 2 different keywords active, and we're consistently optimizing it and making it better. But the main approach you want to take, no matter how many ad groups you have, no matter how many creatives, is that you actually make this campaign, the search campaign, a smart bidding based campaign. Because when it comes to search campaigns, the days of manual bidding and maximize clicks, all those things, they're officially gone. It's going to be very difficult for you to know exactly what the right bid is, especially when you're using a variety of different keywords. So instead, we prefer to take the smart bidding approach here and keep things fairly simple. Again, implementing all of the things we previously mentioned, and because it's only going after males or females, the search campaign should already be very directed and very targeted. Now, because of that, what has happened here with this search campaign specifically is this search campaign is able to run at a 6.09x ROAS despite a CPC of $2.75. So despite having a very high CPC, we're very profitable here. This is what happens when you do all of the necessary steps and take them properly. Now, that's for the generic search campaigns. What about the dynamic search campaigns? And I have the perfect example to go over for a dynamic search campaign, which is this brand right here. It's a car parts and accessories brand. And if we look at this search campaign right here, it is doing extremely well. It's running at a 9.67x ROAS. Now, with a dynamic search campaign, the strategy is also very simple. As you can see here, only one ad group, which is based around smart bidding. So we're just targeting all the web pages. We're not choosing individual web pages, just to make it very simple. And with the ad copies, there's also one ad copy. But again, if you have done all of the proper techniques from the beginning, the strategy should already be on point, where the ad copy is also very directed and it's to that perfect audience, which is why we have CTRs like almost 9% here. But that's pretty much it to this dynamic search campaign. There's nothing else we're doing here that's too crazy. We just have it set on a target ROAS. You don't necessarily have to choose anything for target ROAS in terms of a strategy, because again, once you choose smart bidding and if you've done everything from the foundation up, it should be very easy for this campaign to actually start getting different kinds of results. But that's essentially it for my $1 million Google search campaign strategy. A very similar one we're applying across multiple brands under my agency, Your Marketing, which if you're currently doing $40,000 or more per month in revenue, you need just a little bit of extra help scaling your brand to the next level. Go on to my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me to see how we can essentially work together and make that happen. But check out this video right here on a brand we recently scaled to almost $1 million a month in revenue from Google, where a lot of these search campaigns came into effect and helped.